Yeah, we're excited that the fact that we're guaranteed a playoff in the Big West tournament, a spot in the tournament, which allows us to really promote and understand that this Wednesday we'll have a real ticket drive and help promote the fact that the Big West tournament's at the Honda Center. Exciting place to be, a world-class facility that has events from all around, and Big West gets to be front and center of that. So Thursday down there, hopefully we've got a bus going down, opportunity to buy the tickets and get a bus ticket as well. So exciting times for us, to know, 2 weeks before the tournament that we've already, clinched a playoff spot, so we're not wondering. And now it's about positioning and timing and improving our program. So we're excited about it, and we get announced that on Valentine's Day. So isn't it great? So that's a sweetheart of a deal. How about that? Coming here with the Big West push.
Talk about, the hard part. You guys made the tournament already, but now you mentioned about positioning and 2 seed or whatever, number 1 seed.
Right.
Just talk, about the mentality of fighting for positions right now and whether that factors into it at all.
Well, we still haven't talked as a team or a coaching staff really about positioning. What we're still talking about is that we've obtained most of our goals for the season so far in the case of a number of road victories and a number of home victories. What we haven't done is exceed any of our goals. And so what we're trying to do this week is look at 2 opportunities with home games. To win another home game would be exceeding one of our goals to guarantee us a winning season at home. Of course, if we have to go on the road for 3 more road games, conference road games, and every one of those gives us an opportunity to exceed some other goals. One of the goals that we did not reach this year was to beat a guaranteed contract game, guaranteed games where you're getting paid for them. That was at UCLA, at San Diego State, or at Cal. We wanted to pull one of those upsets. We aren't able to do that. So we just explained to our team that when you fall short of one of your goals, the only way you can have a ledger that balances is we have to exceed another goal in another area. So we've met our other goals, but now we need to look to exceed it. So we were pretty narrow focus on the fact that the next opportunity to win a home game is Wednesday, conference opponent against Northridge, who beat us down there on their home court.
Talk about Northridge. Dave mentioned earlier, you guys were right into it up until, the last 10 minutes, and they pulled away. The score maybe didn't indicate how close the game really was toward the end. But, talk about, round 2 now it's in your home court.
Well, we remember the game real well because there was a real turning point in the game in which there was an elbow. Jamal Johnson was in the backcourt, and he cleared himself by and kind of fell back, got brushed up against him. And new NCAA rule that any contact with an elbow to the face is an automatic flagrant foul and the ball out of bounds. And it really changed momentum. It was a foul call that they went to the cameras to review and changed momentum and complexity of the game. They got the ball back, and kind of we were upset by things, and we never really got our composure, and they hit a couple shots following that. They ended up being 6 of 12 from the three-point line, 50% from the three-point line, and we're holding people to 25, 26, 27%. And you get a team that hits big shots, and 2 of those shots that they hit were just outstanding shots. Vinny McGee hit coming off screens 26 feet, shot clock going down, hand in his face, and just drained him. And those were really emotional plays for us. So we thought we had them locked up, and they made big shots there. So give them a ton of credit. They're playing a kind of a platoon system right now, offensive and defensive. They sub 5 guys out every time a team gets scored 5 points. And so they're coming with a lot of energy, a lot of different looks because you see 5 new faces about every 5 minutes. And so, something that for us, we feel like we've improved our discipline and our concentration and our emotional stability so that a bad call, a poor play, or tough basket made against us doesn't distract us from our overall defensive goal and defensive focus, which, of course, translates to offensive opportunities. And if you look at us in the last 4, 5, 6 games as the winning streak has gone, is that our second-half performances are pretty impressive, that we've maintained our defense and we've waited for our offense to come along and find those opportunities. So really pleased with that.
Last week you talked about every week do something a little bit better in practice and work on that, and it pays off in games. What is it that you worked on last week to try and improve on, and did you see it? And then what's kind of the focus this week?
Well, last week one of the things we're trying to look at is being a little better guarding the ball, our on-ball defense, making sure the guy just doesn't rip and go right by us. We were combining that with a little thing, the cutting, weak side cutting, not getting our face cut across, where a guy can just cut quickly to the high post and quickly into the low post. So I think both areas we improved upon. we're going to have to kind of go back to the basics here because, again, this team is so quick and aggressive off the bounce that they will drive it on you. If you don't have the guy that's guarding the ball, what we call guard the yard, a yard to the right and a yard to the left. You've got to be able to guard to the right and left a full yard so they don't get a head of steam and get in there. Now you got two guys have to help, and that's when they're able to kick out and get really those rhythm shots and those rhythm plays. Also, I think we've got to do a better job. What we're looking at execution is making sure we get a really good shot at the end of the shot clock. You know, we've had some that were good shots, but not really good shots, and we've got to continue to put our best players in the best position to get the shot towards the end of the shot clock.
Talk about how big of a game this is, you know, with Northridge, final conference home game, and you guys neck and neck in the standings. Just talk about standing-wise and position-wise. Is it bigger than any other game, or?
Well, I think it's not bigger than any other game because that's when we set up goals, each game has the same value content. You know, it's like a dollar bill. A dollar's only worth a dollar you make Thursday is the same value as a dollar you made on Friday. And so you've got to come back and make the dollar on Friday. If you didn't make a dollar on Thursday, you got to make the dollar on Friday. And that's what we tell our guys. If we didn't win a game earlier in the month, we got to win a game later in the month. And so that's what's nice about goals and having them broken down into some metrics that allow us to not, John Wooden over and over. Don't get too high over victory. Don't get too depressed over defeat. And I think our team has taken into that kind of a more emotionally stable unit is that we were never devastated by the Santa Barbara loss. It was a tough loss. They made a great shot down the buzzer. It was a great college basketball game. I said that then. I say that today. What we've done is gone on and win 5 games. We didn't point fingers, cry, or pout. We went back to work and said, okay, that was 1 game loss. That didn't deviate us from any goal opportunity, nor will the Northridge game deviate us from any goals. It's just another opportunity to exceed a goal, and that way you keep that emotional stability instead of getting all over the place. And we're talking 18 to 23-year-old young men who can be emotional at times, and if we overemphasize or underemphasize anything, you just kind of lose that focus. And we've become much better at being emotionally stable, emotionally focused at the day in front of us, the play in front of us, and I think that's what's really been the strength of us this last month. February's been good to us. We're 4-0.
Let me ask you this. With the tiebreaker being head-to-head, they've already beat you, so, if you do end up in a tie with Northridge, it's important that you guys pull this one out, I guess. Is that something that you're...
Haven't considered it, no.
Peeking ahead, NAU, that BracketBuster, Chris said, a lot of important things about, them being a great three-point shooting team, you guys being conversely a defensive team. What kind of a challenge will the Lumberjacks bring you guys?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think there's 2 or 3 things about Saturday's game that I would be happy to talk about and mention. I think, first, it's pretty unique that you have, at a BracketBuster game, Cal Poly, the #1 defensive three-point shooting percentage team in the nation, playing Northern Arizona as of last night, getting our pre-scout stuff for the week, as the #1 three-point shooting percentage offense out of 335, 340 teams. You have the #1 defense going against the #1 offense in that three-point category. So that's kind of exciting in a sense of it's good media, I think. It gives you something to talk about. But also, I think what's also relevant to that is that we talked about. It gives us a chance to have another home game, finish up at home with on a positive note. And then the final point on that, Sean Lewis's senior night. It's the last game for Sean. His career will have a special presentation and a picture for him and honor him appropriate ways. A guy who's over 1,000 points, a young man who I thought was Conference Player of the Week last week, a guy who's had a great week, could have easily been Conference Player of the Week this week, 25 points and 2 more wins. So somebody we're really proud of that we think as a student, as a player, as a team member, his growth overall gives us Saturdays. There's a lot of meaning to Saturday. There's a lot of meaning because we want to play an out-of-conference opponent. We want to continue to have a positive energy going into the road trip. And then it's senior night, and every senior and every team feels the responsibility of playing well for somebody on their last game, on the last home court game of their career.
Looking back at the Riverside game, it was an interesting game. I know the first half probably wasn't one you're going to put away in the scrapbook, but overall, were you happy with the performance of the guys? You guys ended up winning by 16 points or so. Another great defensive game. If you can talk about what you saw out there on Saturday with Riverside.
Saturday just seemed like it was really kind of becoming a classic Cal Poly defensive basketball night. Is that we defended the entire game. and we had to make one adjustment at half. The Borum kid hit 3 threes in the first half, and we changed one defensive move that we can make as far as really, getting closer and chase. They ran some little action for him that we just stayed with him instead of passing him off. And so they were 3 for 6 or 7 in the first half, and I think 0 for 5 from the three-point line in the second half. And that was really key execution. And we went about a 4 or 5 minute period in the first half without scoring. And we keep on telling our guys and preaching it that defense and rebounding can show up every day in every play. Offense, you're going to miss some shots. You're going to go through some difficult periods you can't score. And we went 3 or 4 minutes without scoring in the first half. In the second half, we grinded a few more points. As Coach Amaral talked about, sometimes we can explode for 30 or 35 points in the second half. Then we're up in the 50s or pushing into the 60s. And so I think that's really kind of what we've done is as the game goes on, is if we can maintain our defensive composure and focus and make some changes at half and see some scoring opportunities develop. And I think David Hansen ended up hitting his threes in the second half. So we get Hansen going a little bit, and then we were able to keep their best shooter out of it. So that just gives us that little springboard to an 8 or 10 point lead. And from there, maybe teams are pressing a little bit more, and we're able to expand the lead into 2 or 3 games now. We've been able to have a decent lead in the last 3 or 4 or 5 minutes, and then protect the lead and go down the stretch and finish it with confidence that we know how to build a lead, keep a lead, and finish the game out.
You may recall, it was probably about a month and a half ago, I asked you, there were a couple players that weren't playing, up to the level we thought they'd be playing. I asked you about Sean, I asked you about Donahue, and both guys have turned it around considerably. I want to talk to you about Will, because, Saturday night, especially early on, he was the offense for you guys, at least the first 10 minutes or so. It looks like he's really playing a lot better than he was, say, a month ago or so. Yeah,
I think that Will's biggest weakness has been his unselfishness. He's really a great, outstanding team guy. He gets more excitement sometimes from a great pass and a big rebound than he does scoring, and that's rare to find a guy that would rather get 15 rebounds than 15 points. He understands that. As you know, he'd also, wouldn't mind a good screen here and there either. So he does a lot of things that are important for a basketball team to be successful. And as we put Sean on the block to be more of an offensive scorer from the block, then Sean's commanding double teams, and the defense is shifting over, kind of really jamming Sean. And now you got David Hansen on that side too, and they've got to guard David on the perimeter. So what we're seeing in that last game was, as we reverse the ball out, Will Donahue's had better post position and single coverage, and so he's taken the right opportunity to suddenly be an offensive threat in the low block, and then he's worked diligently on his face-up game. He's knocked down a couple 10 to 18 footers that looked good. They're good rhythm shots. He's improved dramatically from the free throw line from the start of the year. And you give credit for him for working at it. We talked to Chris O'Brien. He said, our program is based upon there's not much flash. We work our butts off, and we don't take days off. Guys haven't had 2 days off for 5 months, and I think they have a couple days off for Christmas, but it's 6 days a week. They get there, and they put extra time in themselves. What areas do you have short and improve upon? So I think it's a credit to those young men that keep on working. They look at it, evaluate it. As coaches, all we can do is make suggestions. We can't mandate they do anything. And when you get them on your side and they want to be competitive, and Will's just improved his game. You see he's more mobile, he's more fluid, his shots more comfortable, and it's been critical time because we wouldn't be going on this run if we didn't have Sean Lewis improving, Will Donahue improving. David Hansen had his career high the other, at Bakersfield after a tough loss. Come back, and it seems like every night somebody else in the program is having a career high, and that to me is a great credit to those guys that are keep improving and they're working on their game, watching video in the gym when we're not around. And so that's the joy of coaching, is watching them kind of emerge, and each week it seems a new guy is emerging. And we're fortunate that it's Will now, because he's done a great job, and that run he had was just solidified us.
Did you like him shooting the three-pointers? Or I guess he only had one, but can we expect some more of those out of Will?
Well, one thing Will does understand is that I tell him over and over, we'd rather have a bad shot when the shot clock's going down than no shot. And we ran a high set, which is our horns play, which is trying to get a low touch for David, and they just sunk way off him. And he looked at that shot clock, and it was pretty low, and other guys recovered. I think he also saw that we were ahead by a few points and saw this was opportunity to burp up that. He shook his head. He knew exactly the results were not exactly what he wanted or what we wanted, but I think he took it at the right time.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you also about, I think that was maybe the third team you guys have swept this year, and it's been a while since Cal Poly has had this fine a conference season. I mean, how nice is it that you guys you're sweeping out teams and 8-4 right now, and I mean, is this team exceeding your expectations thus far? 12 games into the
Well,
conference?
no, we haven't exceeded any expectations, and we still go back to that. Not because we're trying to be too humble, but on our goal sheets, we've just met our goals. We have still a lot of basketball to play. 3 full weeks of games. We've got 2 games this week, 2 games next week, and then 1 game at Santa Barbara. So we had 3 full weeks of basketball, and we keep telling our guys that. Tell us that we have what we do in the next 3 weeks. We'll get the word meet or exceed. Meeting a goal. These are just the standards that we set. And we've met some of those standards, and based upon how we play and perform in the next 3 weeks, I think we'll set it up ultimately to say, okay, measuring that to where exceeding a goal. And we just kind of really bring it down to a basic business platform. Here's your base level. Here's your sales goal. You've met it. Okay, exceed it. And we've met some of our goals, 4 out of 5 goals, and now we have 3 full weeks, 5 more games to see if we can't exceed some of the goals. So bring that back up in 2 weeks, and we'll see if we're in the right realm yet.